seen it or not. I can't read comments right now, obviously, because I'm driving. I just want to say thank you to anybody who prayed for me today. So, yeah, it's been an ordeal today, but I've got a box in the back seat of my car, beautifully decorated. Somebody, it was just really, it ended up being a really nice experience for something that's very sad. So, what happened today is Melody's day, my almost 14-year-old standard poodle, and she has an eye condition called ethereal cell dysfunction. So I had to drive to the city to take her to get her 6-month follow up. She takes eye drops, 2 eye drops in each eye twice a day, and so I had taken her to the vet. I guess it's been about 3 months because I thought she was kind of, when they get older, they sleep a lot. And so she did some blood work on her, and she said she sounds fine. She did a checkup on her. She did a thorough evaluation. She said, don't put her down. She said she's fine. She said she's got time left. And I said, okay. And so the last few days, she's been really tired, sleeping a lot, I noticed. So I thought, I need to take her back to the doctor, my regular vet. And but today was her eye appointment. And so when I was loading her in the car, it'd been raining, so she just was laying down. And I thought it was unusual. I was like, why is she laying down on the ground? She normally just hops in the car. Because yesterday she was perfectly fine. Like, other than she's been sleeping a lot, and she has to go up down the stairs to go potty outside and stuff. She's a fenced area. So, anyways, oh, I gotta get that noise. That's horrible. Checked out. Oh, that sound. You hear that? Ugh, it's one thing or another. So, anyways, I get to the clinic, the animal eye clinic, and I'm a few minutes early. And she can't get out of the car. Like, I get her out of the car, she can't stand, she can't walk, and I'm just like, she's walking like she's drunk or like something's wrong. Oh my gosh. She never, ever in her life. I mean, my dog's up until, like Honey passed away almost a year ago today from having a heart condition, and she was on heart medicine. And, but, she had turned 11. But other than that, I mean, until she turned, 10, she didn't have any health problems. So it's very thankful. So I got her, I picked her up. Um, when I got to the door, she couldn't walk. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I pick her up and I put her up on the furniture in the animal eye clinic, and I go up to the desk and I'm like, hey, there's a problem. Can you help me? And she's, whoa. Didn't even look up, and acknowledge me. I'm like, I'm having a problem. There's an emergency. Doesn't even phase. She's tuned into her phone call. I'm like, oh gosh. And I'm like, literally, I think she's having a heart attack. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to scoop her up. So I just put her on my walker and literally walk her on my walker next door. There was an animal emergency clinic, whatever, next door. And so I go in and said, hey, I think my dog's having a heart attack. And I said, I just need someone, because if she's having a heart attack, I mean, then she's going to be put down. I mean, but, they wanted $600, $800 before they even, I said, well, I don't have that. I said, I'm like, she's dying. It was obvious, and they wanted 600. So they're like, okay, so they just grab her and take her. And I'm like, what are you doing? Well, we're going to take her back here. I'm like, well, I'm going to be with her. No, you can't go back. I was like, excuse me, you're not taking my dog. You're not taking my dog. Excuse me, my dog is dying, and she's maybe at the very last, because when Honey passed, when she had her heart went out, she died very quickly. And I'm just like, no, I will be here. And so the fact that my dog had to be exposed to very rude people, and I mean, they were rude. They were just nasty the way they talked. And I'm like, they just treated me like garbage. And for her to be exposed to people being rude was not good for her in her last moments. And I'm just like, I just took her, put her back on the walker, put her back in my car. No, I didn't go back in the walker. I took the back. I took her back next door to the animal clinic, and I said, listen, I said, I'm having an emergency. I think she's having a heart attack, and they're like, oh, okay. Well, I said, look, I tried to take her next door, and they were very rude. They wouldn't let me be with her. And I said, I'm going to be with her. Okay. I think she's dying. And they're like, okay. So they take her after I just tell her that I'm going to be with her. And then they take her and just shut the door and try to lock it. And then the lady pushes me and tells me I can't go back. So I just told you I'm not going to be separated from my dog. And she's pushed her body up on me. And I'm like, you give me my dog back now or I'm calling the police. So they let me in. And they're like, well, we don't know if she's imminently dying. I said, ma'am, I said, obviously she is. I said, I just want to be with her. I said, it's that time and I'm not going to leave her side, period. Right? They're like, okay, well, you could take her to this clinic. I'm like, okay. So then she started being really nice after they were very rude and assaulted me. Then she was really nice and she carried her to my car, put her in the car. And, I'm trying to not start bawling because I don't want to upset Melody more in her last moments because I'm thinking at this second she could die any second now. I just want to hurry up, get her to a clinic that we can do things. Okay, and so she's like finding the clinic. She's text me the link to the directions to the clinic, and so I was really thankful for that. Okay, and so then the first address was like didn't even work. So then I go to the next address. Thankfully she even texted me 2 different clinics to go to. So the second one she texted me, I called them ahead of time to make sure that they understood that there's not going to be a separation of me and my dog. If she makes it to the clinic, I'm not leaving her side. She will be comforted. I will be in her presence the entire time. And I said, if you cannot do that, you need to let me know because that is not happening. I'm very sure that this is her last day and I'm going to be there with her, period. So the lady really felt that that's what was going on the phone. She's like, okay, bring her in. And when you get here, call us and we'll help you bring her in. And it's like night and day. So I get there and, I call them and I tell them, hey, I'm here. And they come out with this gurney thing and they bring her in. And yeah, they just took one look at her gums and knew that she was internally bleeding and that she didn't have much time. And it was over. It was her time. And so, but they were so nice. I mean, to tell you, it's just like people have a presence. And she had a presence. These people, I'm telling you, those other people were just, their faces, their spirits about them was just wrong. I don't know how else to explain it or describe it. But these people were just so nice. And they're like, yeah, there's something really wrong. And so, but they were just, they understood. They took me into this little room. They put her name up on the door, and they're like, they knew that this was her time. And so they totally respected me and her to be with me at all times. And I could see Melody just totally relaxing in the presence of these people. And so they brought in this little ultrasound thing and she had a tumor is what it was. And I said, how could she have a tumor when I literally just had blood work done on her? In my mind, something like that grows over a long period of time. And I'm like, she's like, no. She says, blood work can be normal and she could have no symptoms whatsoever. And, it can grow. She said, this type grows very quickly. And I says, is it just old age? She says, yeah. She says, she's just very old. And your bodies don't have the ability, your organs don't, work as well when people die. That's what happens when they get old. Their heart doesn't work as well. They just, that's death. That's life. That people die. And that's what happens. Their immune system stops. But anyway, she says what happened is probably with the last few days when she was feeling tired, sleeping more a lot, it's probably started to slowly And then today it ruptured. And that's why she just suddenly became like, what the heck just happened? I mean, and her breathing was like that. So I really thought she was having a heart attack. So the lady was, there was nothing. It was time, and I'm just so thankful to God. It could have happened yesterday. I was gone for a couple hours yesterday, and I'm just so thankful. And I told the doctor, I said, is it not a gift that you get to be there when your dog's, your pet's last moment is? Because a lot of times people are gone when their pets die, or they're asleep when they die, but you get to be there in their last moment and love on them and comfort them, and you get that goodbye, you get that closure. And so for that, I was just so thankful. And so when this lady, they had to, it took them 2 or 3 times to get the IV in her, but they're like, yeah. She says, okay. And they explained everything, because I've never had to put a dog down like this before. And I was totally not prepared for it today, but I knew that every day was a blessing. I knew that her time was short, because she was, almost 14, and that's very old for a standard poodle. And even before she turned 13, my local vet, she was just like, that's really old for a standard poodle. So anyways, so Melody just totally relaxed in this lady's arms. She was just loving on her and comforting her. And I was just so thankful that Melody just really took to this lady, and she just felt so peaceful, because these other people were just so rude and rough. It was horrible. But they were so nice. I mean, they were just explained everything, and they brought in this little box, to carry. They carried her back out in the car, put her in the car for me, and they put her name on the top of the box, and they wrote it just beautifully. They decorated her name and put little. They had no idea why I picked her name. They had no idea, but they drew little music notes by her name, and I chose her name because, as a song, that she was a blessing. It just, there's a whole personal thing between me and God, that I chose this name for her. And so anyways, that they put a music note on her box right next to her name. It was just like heaven sent, because she has papers, and part of her name she is Melody Song from Heaven. So they had no idea how I chose her name, and so they on her name, they just decorated it, her name. I have a picture of it. I'll put that on my community page, and put a little music symbol next to her name. That was so precious to me. And anyways, but they brought this little tray in, and it had these little jars with little beads and little paw thing on it, and then they had a little well, anyways, you can put a little lock of their hair in it. It's like a little memento, if you will. And she said, oh, she looks like a pink. And I was going to choose pink for her, because that's her color. Like, I decorate my dogs, and I groom them, and I use non-toxic stuff to decorate their fur with. And so I would use pink for her. That was her color, and Nadia is like, I always decorate her with red, white, and blue. But anyways, that's her color. So I've got this little lock of hair. I mean, but they just were so sweet, and they were just the whole spirit about them was completely just different, and it just felt like an emergency care clinic. I get it that they're hospitals and they have to make money, but just to snatch somebody's dog like that. But I'm going to remember this day and this moment for how it ended up in the end. And that was with very nice people. The Tulsa Animal Urgent Care Clinic, I think is what it was called. Anyways, I'm really going to give them a great review online. And so, it's hard to let your dogs go. they're like, you can take as much time as you want with her after they got the IV or before we give her, the medicines. I said, I'm only going to take it for the 5 minutes because I think she might be suffering and I don't want her to suffer. I don't want to prolong this. I know that when I was younger and I had an ectopic pregnancy with twins and it ruptured. And, I remember what it felt like when it ruptured and it was not good, and you're internally bleeding. And so, I just wanted her, any suffering that she did have, and she was very relaxed in the end, but, I don't know how much pain she was in and I just didn't want to prolong it. So, but they're just, that they were so nice. It's like you have this special room where you just spend time saying goodbye to your dog. And I just talked to her a little bit, and I just started, try to overcome all that negative stuff that had just happened, and when they were getting IV and stuff, I just left the room because I had to cry. And I wasn't going to cry in front of Melody because I don't want, that would upset her. Your dogs absorb all the emotions of all the people around them, and so I just wanted her to be able to relax because she was already suffering. So I left the room for a little bit so I could have a little cry, get a cup of coffee, go back in, and then just talk to her about all the good memories, all the things. I say all the words that she knows she likes, like bye-bye and lake, and and talk to her about Arthur and Honey, the dogs that she grew up with and played with growing up. Just trying to bring back all the good memories in her mind so that she can, not have any tension in the last moments. And then this doctor was just so sweet. She was really, really sweet lady. And so in the end, it ended up being for a horribly sad moment. It ended up being a good situation. And I just want to say thank you to those who prayed in my situation. Thank you. I see your comment, Susan. Thank you. Sorry, I'm driving with my light on, which people probably don't like that, but I have 3 dogs left now, and they're all old. Regan is her brother. They were litter mates, so I had 2 sets of litter mates. 3 years apart. No, yeah, about 3 years apart. So Regan is her brother, and he's still, for the most part, he's doing pretty good. I think his hearing's going. He's a little busy now, but I've taken him in, and he has a little bit of old dog lung condition, but I just, in their old age, you just have to really stay on top of any change, because she says at this age, when they get old, things can go, deteriorate quite quickly. So, all I ask for from my having dogs that are older, like Regan is, going to be 14 in March, and my 2 younger ones, the 2 white standard poodles, turned 10 in July. So all my dogs are older now, and it's hard because dogs can't talk. They can't tell you when they're in pain, and I don't know how long she's had this condition because I took her in, recently, didn't liver. But there's a lot of times. Here's the thing: there's this lady. She's got poodles, and they talk. They literally communicate with buttons. And I know there's different dog breeds that they've shown this on YouTube. But this lady has 2 standard poodles. One's, I think her name is Bunny and Otter, and they're a pair of standard poodles, and it's amazing how much dogs can communicate. So I have been looking online to get some of these buttons because, in their old age, I want them to be able to communicate to me when they're suffering. Right, so I'm going home tonight, and I'm going to order these buttons, and because I wish I had done it a long time ago for dogs to tell me if they're having pain. Now Nadia and Regan, they'll pretty much tell me if they have any kind of discomfort whatsoever. They're my fussy buckets. They will just they'll let me know. Reese's more quiet. Melody's always been the kind of quiet. Dogs can't tell you when they're in pain. Some of them are, they'll fuss if they're not feeling well or something, but a lot of times dogs, so it's hard. It's like all I want is to be there and they pass. Because like when I had surgery back in 2019, I had two surgeries like 2 weeks apart, and when I come home, my dog had passed while I wasn't there, and that upset me so bad that he was alone, and then I didn't even know, and I felt like maybe I failed him. Like, was there something wrong with him? Did I miss some signs? And so I just want to make sure that my dogs, and we don't have that guaranteed life. People die, animals die every day, randomly. You could be going down the road and anything can happen and you could die suddenly. It happens, so I'm just so thankful to God that I was able to be there. I was there with Honey when she passed. I actually had her scheduled. I was going to take her in the next day, and because I knew her time had come and medicine wasn't really working anymore and so because she had heart condition, she was old, and so but she passed that night, and I was right there. You know what I mean? Right there. Like, I wasn't outside. I wasn't gone to the store. I was right there when it happened. And so I was just so thankful. And so Melody, yeah. So I just think that, I'm just glad that I was in that moment, that I had to be aggressive, assertive. I'd probably say assertive because they were the ones being aggressive with me, snatching my dog from me like that, It just so unprofessional. But I'm just glad that I stood my ground, and said, no, you're not doing this, So anyways, and I'm thankful that I was able to get her to the clinic before she passed, and that we figure out what was going on, and it went in a way that was respectful to Melody, and she was able to lay down and relax and be at peace and be comforted in her last moments. Dignity, just she's been a great pet to me. She's been a blessing to me for almost 14 years. That dog has been such a blessing. Oh my goodness. And this is life. It's just, we have to be so thankful, because animals, their lifespan is just not that long. If you want a dog that lives a long time, you might want to get like an African gray bird or something like that, because they live a long time. But dogs don't last. And I am very thankful that the average lifespan of standard poodles 10 years, and she almost made it to 14. So I cannot complain. And for the most part, she didn't have any health problems. I don't know how long when this tumor started, but she said these kind of usually grow pretty quickly. So it's just old age, It's just life. Everybody's born to die. It happens, Anyways, so that's it. I'm gonna get home, and I have this big box. I don't know if I can see it. Get home and tend to my other dogs and feed them. I have to go outside, and I am so thankful that if I had to go somewhere and drive on a rainy day, which I hate to drive at night, I hate to drive in the rain, but thankfully, if she had to pass, it was on a rainy day, because I have to dig a very big hole for her, and I'm already hurting so bad. So I'm going to go in and take a Toradol, which is an anti-inflammatory, because I know by the time I get home, this neck pain starts in my neck, and it gets me a headache of about. My headache is creeping up. The pain, it's already like a 7.5. And Toradol is not something that you get. It's just a really strong anti-inflammatory that you normally give you after surgery. But this thing with my neck and this head pain, it's so severe. There's no pain medicine that helps with it, and Toradol is the only thing that helps. So I'm already getting this headache, this neck pain. It's the nerves. It's caused from inflammation. And now, because of my stomach, I can't take anti-inflammatories anymore. So I've been using turmeric. It's a seasoning, and it's supposed to help with inflammation. So I've been trying to put turmeric on everything I eat, every time I eat something, to try to get the inflammation down. But this is up with my neck. gosh. Anyways, so that's what happened today. I went to take her to the eye doctor, and it ended up being her last trip ever. And I think the doctor's right. She showed me on the ultrasound this big tumor, and all around it was just, it was bleeding. So she was internally bleeding. That's why her gums went numb, or went white. I mean, her body was going cold, and it just happened suddenly. That's because she was bleeding internally. So, and I remember what that felt like, to bleed internally suddenly when something ruptures inside. When I had an ectopic pregnancy years ago, and instead of just doing the surgery, I was in the Army when this happened. Instead of just doing the surgery, and removing it, because obviously they left me in a condition where it could rupture and I could have died. What if it ruptured in my sleep? I could have died. Like, that's the Army for you. They said just rest. But anyways, I made it to the hospital when it ruptured, but I remember what it felt like, and it was pretty traumatic feeling in your body when something ruptures and you're bleeding internally. It's pretty traumatic. And so, anyways, that's why I didn't let them prolong our last moments together, because I knew it had to feel horrible. Because when I made it to the ER, and they knew that stuff had ruptured, not bleeding internally, and your veins start to shrink, but they were able to finally get a line on me to get fluids in me, to kind of stabilize and help the symptoms. But with her, she was laying there suffering. But bless her heart, she was such a sweetheart, such a sweet dog, great dog, standard poodles. So, anyways, that's it for this one. How do I end this thing? I don't even know how to end this thing. Are you sure you want to stop screening?
Yes.